Hello, in this video I'd like to show you how to tie a Joe Pye Seatrout Fly. In this example I'll be using a size 8 Pye Patriot single hook. There you go. First we'll tie on using 8/0 white tying thread, and we'll tie on just behind where the eye of the hook has been formed. 3 or 4 turns to hold the thread in place, then we'll cut off the surplus. What I mean by the rear of the eye, if I turn it over, you'll see the rear of the eye, I mean this point here, just where the wire goes to single bit. Okay? Right, now we continue with open winds towards the rear of the hook. And again, open winds back towards the middle. And again to the rear where we'll form the butt of the fly. There we go. Right, the butt of the fly will be made from dubbing, and in this case I'll be using Octopussy red dubbing. We'll take some dubbing, wind it round the thread. That should be okay. And now wind it around the shank of the hook. There we go. And then 4 or 5 winds just to hold it in place. At this point, I like to just trim it a little bit. And the surplus bits are hanging a little bit too far out. There we go. Next we need to add on the rib, and in this case it's medium uni wire, soft wire, and we'll add it to the side of the hook all the way along to where we started tying on the thread. Now use open winds to hold it in place. There we go. I like to do this because if I turn it over again, it makes the body of the fly a bit more symmetrical on the eye. Okay. Right, and the next thing to do is to add the body, which in this case is white Anton body yarn. So add it to the top of the fly, like that. Now holding it tight, we tie it to the shank of the hook with open winds back towards the butt. That done, and open winds back to the front of the fly. This point will tidy up the extra yarn here. There we go. Now we need to wind the yarn around the body. Now what I tend to do is every wind I turn the yarn very slightly with my fingers. This keeps the yarn together and gives you a slightly better finish on the body. So just a quarter turn or so every time you go around. One more, I think. There we go. Now tie off 5 or 6 turns here of thread to hold it in place. Cut off the surplus. This done, we now need to tie in the rib. So wind it 3 times at the rear of the fly. And now open turns along the body. And one last turn to bring it up to the top of the fly. we'll secure it with 4 or 5 turns of thread. Now push the wire back and press it down with your finger, and again 3 or 4 turns, and now a couple of whip knots here just to hold the thread in place. And we need to cut off the surplus wire. In this case we'll use wire clippers rather than scissors, because you'll just blunt your scissors by using them. There we go. Next we need to turn the fly over to do the false beard. In this case we'll be using a red cock feather. Take a feather, open the barbs up, grab a handful in your fingers and just pull them off the stem. There we go. That should be plenty. Now attach them to the fly on the underside, but not touching the barb of the hook. 2 or 3 turns to hold it in place. Just adjust if you need, and just spread them out a little bit with your finger, just like that. A few more turns to hold in place. And now we'll do another whip finish here, because at this point we're going to change the thread we're using anyway. So 3 turns should be enough. Cut off the surplus feather. And cut off the thread. There we go. Now what I tend to do here is put a little varnish over the knot at the bottom and what will be the top. Turn the fly back over. Now we need to whip on again using black uni thread, again 80. 2 or 3 turns to hold it in place. Cut off the surplus. Now a few more turns. There we go. Now because we varnished a minute ago, the varnish will help secure the thread on the fly. Now the next thing to do is add the wing, which in this case is grey squirrel tail dyed blue. So take some squirrel tail. Pull out any guard hairs off it, because you don't want too many hairs in this. There we go. Now we tie this on the top, and it should be as long as the length of the fly itself. There you go, to the end of the hook. A couple of turns to secure it in place. Check it looks okay. That's fine. Now cut off the surplus. Now here you can either put a dab of varnish on again, or some people do at this point put a dab of super glue. It's up to yourself. Done. This done. We now just need to form the head of the fly. Looks good. So now we need to do a whip finish. 3 turns. And again, with another 3 turns. Cut off the surplus, And there you go, a Joe Pye Seatrout Fly. Hope you like it, and happy tying.